So I think it's pretty much universally known at this point that the MCU, the Marvel Universe, under Marvel Studios is in a complete delicate state based on the 2025 expensive failures, all lined up, by the way, by both Bob Iger and Kevin Feige, along with all of the creative differences happening between the Deadpool 3 writers like Rhett Reese, Paul Wernick, and Ryan Reynolds, going head-to-head against the Disney higher-ups. Of course, concerning everything revolving around the reshoots for spring as well as the third act of Deadpool 3. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. So, looking at Deadpool 3, yes, we know that the main selling point about this movie has a lot to do with the return of Wolverine, portrayed by Hugh Jackman. There's been a lot of drama going on with himself as an actor against Disney after many of his scenes got deleted, and how this is creating an ongoing domino effect with the MCU throughout the rest of the 2020s. Let's discuss. Now, we know that Ryan Reynolds has been the one who really started the defense and really trying to protect the third act of this film ahead of the planned reshoots by Bob Iger and Disney overall to push their DEI narrative onto the final scenes of this movie with the reshoots that are looming for March and April before the July release date window. Now, we talked about this last week, but they did expedite a full-length trailer. Thankfully, that was under the control of both Shawn Levy, the director, and Ryan Reynolds to at least, at the very minimum, have a step in the right direction with the marketing campaign of this movie to boost up hype levels to a degree. Now, what's interesting about all of this moving onwards has a lot to do with Hugh Jackman and how he recently got cancelled in a very specific way by Disney. Now, specifically with Bob Iger and Kathleen Kennedy, as well as Kevin Feige, desperately attempting to change the source material of both Star Wars and Marvel to fit a certain narrative. One major development has much to do with actor Ryan Reynolds and his stand against Disney after many creative differences with Deadpool 3 and beyond. Now, just recently, the Disney heads decided to cancel two major projects, more like three, that were going to bring back the role of Wolverine, portrayed by Hugh Jackman, that were going to be two additional rated R films, just for starters, under the Marvel Universe that were about to be announced by this summer. The two projects were going to focus on turning the duo of Deadpool and Wolverine into a full-fledged trilogy eventually. This was a plan that was in the cards and practically finalized after serious discussions were made between Ryan and crew, and of course those at Disney under Bob Iger and Kevin Feige, to expand the adventures of Deadpool and Wolverine that would divert from the multiverse finally. The plan that was accepted between Reynolds and Kevin Feige previously was that they were going to embrace the first rated R Disney trilogy under Marvel Studios for the MCU throughout the rest of this decade leading into 2030. However, Disney decided to cancel Hugh Jackman's major return in the form of this trilogy due to multiple factors. The biggest one of all had to do with Jackman's warnings and ultimatums that he gave against Disney that created awkward tensions behind the scenes between Jackman and the Disney executives after Iger decided to erase many of Wolverine's biggest scenes in Deadpool 3 that took place in World War II and Vietnam. In addition, Iger reportedly had a change of heart for this Wolverine trilogy, quote-unquote, so to speak, as Iger felt it would be too violent and expensive that would be, in his belief, turning away casual fans and family-friendly audiences, as well as creating a bigger hole of expenses on various productions after his cost-cutting measures went active. The idea, for starters, with this Deadpool trilogy, or Wolverine trilogy, whatever you want to call it, that got axed, would be the focus on Wolverine being the main character with Deadpool as a side character. However, the issues that Ryan Reynolds had with Disney that led to Jackman's role of Wolverine getting cancelled in these various planned films was that Disney was pushing to put this on the Disney Plus service to help boost subscribers instead of putting these movies in theaters in the future. Jackman also raised his concerns and distaste with his approach, with all of this approach by Disney, as putting it on Disney Plus, according to Iger, would mean a more cost-effective trilogy to take place that would hold a far lower budget than theatrical releases. With Jackman's movies cancelled as Wolverine, this only, of course, dwindles him down to appearing in the upcoming Avengers Secret Wars film for 2027, and even those negotiations are falling into a bottomless pit after the creative fallout with Deadpool 3, with IGER's push for everything, of course, related to the reshoots, inserting DEI by early spring for Deadpool 3. Now, guys, let me just stop here before I move on. Now, again, this is typical Bob Iger, you know, moving forward with a plan and then having a change of heart because of X, Y, and Z. This is a typical, you know, response by Bob Iger. Now, we know that the cost-cutting measures is one thing. It's another thing to be frightened about embracing a rated R trilogy, so to speak, over the course of multiple years, and how that would potentially, in his mind, drive away casual fans and family-friendly audiences, which is absurd. There's a large market out there for rated R films when it comes to comic books, most certainly related to Deadpool and Wolverine, and Deadpool 3 is the starting point, right? They're already beginning to experiment with more and more rated R movies, slowly but surely. You know, Blade is another one next year that's also going to be rated R, and they want to see how that rolls out. Now, though the story with that film is in shambles, it's still going to be a rated R film. It may not be quite as what it was meant to be originally, but I think at the end of the day, this is just going to show you that Bob Iger has no clue what he's doing behind the scenes. He has no idea what he's doing with the Marvel Universe. Moving on. After Iger decided to cancel Jackman's big movies with this approach for a Wolverine trilogy, so to speak, Disney is already beginning to question whether or not they really want him back for Secret Wars, as Jackman is demanding a higher payout for his cameo, and rightfully so, in that film than what he was paid for in Deadpool 3. The reasoning behind that is that this all roots from how this, of course, Secret Wars cameo is planned to be important to the storyline and very crucial to the upcoming Avengers films. Bob Iger also felt that this was an effective move to reduce the amount of rated R films to be released. So basically, this change of heart that Iger is going through is to reduce the output of the number of rated R movies in the Marvel slate, and they don't want to plague the timeline with only catering to mature audiences, from what it seems like, right? Now, what's interesting about that fresh take by Bob Iger, which is terrible, I think that they're missing a gold mine here. Now look, if you slap an R rating on anything and the story is trash, it's not going to work regardless. I understand that. But if you combine the two factors, a successful story and an R rating on a comic book film, it's going to work very well. In fact, I think it would only boost a lot of sales and ticket sales for Disney if they were to release these in theaters. And that's another thing, is the fact that Iger wanted to put this on Disney Plus in a desperate attempt over time to gain more and more subscribers on Disney Plus. Now, here's the other problem that I have with Disney, is that they make these plans well too far into the future, where it just sounds absurd, it's ridiculous. There's a lot of plans right now for the MCU that are running all the way until 2030. I'm not kidding. And this is an actual thing. So they're really looking way ahead past 2025 on what they want to do, and there's a lot of ups and downs coming along with it. But overall, guys, you know, drop a comment below, fill me in below in the comments what you all have to say about this, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.